So it's
Okay,
a
I pressed the
fascination.
start.
Yes. So
Hi.
I wonder if we're live.
Yep, we're live.
Yes, we are.
Yep.
And I can see the comments, I think,
Can't
because
see the comments.
I'm also on my cell phone.
But if you see comments, let me know.
Yeah, I just wrote one myself and I see them.
Okay.
Okay, so we're, I think, live. I'm trying to get to the page because it didn't show up for me saying that we're live. So I'm trying to get there.
Okay, we certainly are. I'm watching us.
Okay, yeah, we're here. And it says 2 people.
Eric, okay, is requesting more info about your post. Oh, I don't know what to tell Eric.
I think that's something else.
Oh,
So if you are watching us, say hi in the comments so we can
so
see
we know
that.
you're there.
Yes, so I see something from Eric. I don't know what it means either.
Okay.
Eric, if you hear us, can you say hi in the chat? Megan Bovis says hi there. Hi, Megan.
Hi, Megan.
So glad you're here. Who else? 6 people are watching. Whoa, oh. That's exciting.
Yeah, say hi if you want. We appreciate that you showed up. And just to say, I'm kind of new to this kind of format.
So am I.
So just to say, well, those of you that are watching right now, I'm Judy, and the other team members are.
So my name is Leila, and unlike Judy, I am in Belgium. Judy's in California. Debbie's in Arizona. So just to let you know that we are, hi Brenda. Okay, Brenda says, I'm working from home, so I may come and go. That's awesome. So yeah, my name is Leila, and I've been a theta healing practitioner for the last 10 years. And I do inner work with people. My specialties are HSP, trauma work, and business, soul work. And so I'm very excited to do this, see what we're going to talk about, because we're not really work with people. My specialties are, we haven't fully decided yet. So do you want to introduce yourself a little more, Judy, just for those who may not know you?
Sure.
And I'll just say that, as Leila mentioned, I'm Debbie Zeitz, and I am in Arizona right now. I do have 3 kids who are, in theory, doing online learning at the moment. However, I have doubts that that's actually happening, and I'll just apologize in advance if there's any interruptions as we go through these interesting times while we do this call.
And just to say a little bit more about me, I am the author of Moving Beyond, Healing the Trauma of Physical and Sexual Abuse for Theta Healers. I've been working in the field of trauma for 30 years in other modalities, and just felt that the non-dualism of theta healing really settled in my soul for the truth that I've been looking for years. So we came together as a team and created a nonprofit so that we could really be present in the world for the healing of childhood trauma, but that includes any kind of trauma because this kind of energy triggers people. And we want people to know that there are ways to calm and connect and feel their bodies and be present for themselves and be able to still move forward. So kind of that's our message of hope, and want to kind of expand on that with your questions or your comments. And, you know, we have some stuff we can share too.
Right. So at the moment we have 6 people who are watching, and I just want to remind you that please say hi in the comments so we know you're there. And if you have any questions, please let us know, because we really want to interact with you. That would be our preference. We have a lot of material that we can share, and we would like to interact. 7 people. Woohoo!
Yay.
So we have a comment from Brenda again, and Brenda says hi, Judy, as well. Maybe you know each other?
Is that Brenda Tony?
Yes.
Yay. Hi, Brenda.
We also have Malka Borrego.
Oh, Malka, great.
She
Thanks,
says, hi,
Malka, for
excited to be
hopping on.
watching. What's that, Judy?
I said, thanks, Malka, for hopping on.
Yes.
Judy, I'll just also read a comment that Brenda put out there. She said, those who have defected are in fear that the end is happening. Love what you're doing here.
Slow that down, Debbie, and say that again, that the end is coming.
She said, those who have defected are in fear that the end is happening. Love what you're doing here.
Okay, so in hearing that, I feel like we're always going through different endings because that's a transition. And so, you know, being here in this present moment, experiencing this moment as safety right here is really important. Like, I want to do some things with the team to help everybody just kind of come in their body, because when people are in trauma, they leave their bodies a lot of times, especially if they've been traumatized as children. We want to get you back in here. It's okay to be here in this moment. In this moment, in your rooms, wherever you are, there's nothing going on. Outside, there's energy, but right here is calm. Just notice it.
And I understand that it can take some practice to really to master that, to feel safety in the here and now moment. And I love what you said about it. In a way, we can look at this, what's all that's going on in the world, as an ending. I personally don't feel it's the world's ending. I think we've gone through cycles like these before, in this lifetime, but also, you know, in the history of humanity. And so, yeah, we feel really called to support people to get through that. Because indeed, like what you said about the calm, you know, because one of the things that's happening right now in the world is people are feeling traumatized. And so it's very important to know how to process those feelings, because when you don't, then you end up in survival mode. And that is what you meant by being out. You know, some people leave their bodies. You know, when you're in survival mode, you're not very grounded. If that state lasts too long, you know, you end up in chronic stress, chronic trauma. You stay in that mode too long. And so there's a few consequences that around that we can definitely talk about.
Yeah, thank you for just expanding on that, Leila. And also, I want to say back to Brenda that if we look at the process of the world going through a destructuring, because the structures that were there were not core value structures. And we all know that. And so if we can see this as a destructuring of that, and as it destructures, we as individuals can create a new structure. You know, they say, you know, we're in the age of Aquarius. And this is a time where we step up to the plate in a different way. We're all being called. I mean, I felt it actually at my birthday, which was in January, because the eclipses hit on it. And I'm like, wow, I've got to be really bring my healing work that I've done for years into the world. Like, I can't play it small anymore. And that would have been my comfort zone. So I sense this is going to be similar for a lot of people who have worked on their issues, and those, you know, that are just kind of, you know, bringing that awareness more. We want to lend support too. I mean, it's here to do. And so
Judy, let me slow that down for people. So because there was such richness to all that you said, you know. So what I'm hearing is that you're saying, I feel similar because of this history of that you have on working on getting through your trauma, you know, that you survived. You have learned all these skills and these virtues. And is that what you meant by feeling called in these times to share all that you learned? Because ultimately people now are going to need to learn how to get through, you know, trauma.
Yeah, that's definitely an aspect of it, is the virtues. And you mentioned before about processing feelings. That's something that for many people is very scary, to allow their emotions to be available to them without, you know, wanting to lock up or collapse or, you know, I guess what people call PTS, post-traumatic stress. So it's, you know, freeze or flight or fawn. Fawn means to play it dead.
Right?
Hmm?
Or fight.
Or fight. Yeah, those are the PTS responses. And so that locks up in the nervous system. And we replay it over and over. And it also triggers up issues from the past. So, you know, if you had authoritarian parents and they were always belittling you, maybe the energy of what's coming through feels like that to you, and it brings up those issues. By clearing it from that earlier time, you can start regulating, or we actually have some exercises that we can all practice together to support you to calm that nervous system. The autonomic nervous system regulates our bodies. And there is a major nerve system called the vagus nerve, which runs through the occipitals all the way down on each side into our gut. So they say, you know, our brain and our gut are connected, and they are, through the vagus. So there's ways to calm that down. And there are, go ahead, Leila. Looks like you want to add something.
Yeah, I was going to propose to do, you know, the meditation. I definitely also want to get back to what you said about structures. I think there's a lot of juice in that conversation.
Okay.
And also just want to mention there's 10 people watching us right now.
Awesome.
Hello.
Hi.
And Leila says she's watching from Spain. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
Spain. And so everybody else who's watching, please say hi so we can say hi back to you. Let us know you're there. And so how about we do you want to do that now? Just to give people an example of the feeling safe in the here and now, in that safety in the here and now piece. And
So
so,
in the Fate Healing meditation,
yeah, for example,
that's the start. Okay.
or the exercise you thought of, you know, to observe your breath, feel your body,
Okay.
that, or the meditation.
Okay. I think that it would be really great if we felt being able to feel comfortable in our bodies right now.
Yeah, and just to add, we did get a couple of highs in there, one from Octavian and one from Rebecca Danielle. So
Hi, everyone.
thanks for
Oh, and we have
being here,
Marianne from
saying
Canada
hi.
as well.
Who?
Marianne from Canada. Hello,
Oh,
Canada.
good. Hi, Marianne.
Octavian and Rebecca, tell us where you're from. I'm in Belgium. Anyway.
And I'm in California.
I love that we're connecting the world.
It's so much fun.
11 people watching. Woohoo!
Okay. So what I was saying before is we have an opportunity now to just kind of really ground in our bodies, because grounding helps the nervous system come to stability. So allow yourselves just to notice, like you were a child wondering or curious. Just observe your breath. Notice it. Notice if it is shorter or longer into your body or deeper. And if there are ever any inner voices, don't worry, thank them and go back to the breath. And then just notice your feet on the ground. If they're not, just notice where they are. And notice that you have feet. And you're working with your breath, with your feet as well as you're noticing. Now, notice your hands. Move your fingers through your other fingers or touch your hand, your other hand, and just notice what that feels like to you in touching your skin. And feel the energy between your hands. Just notice that you're both physical and energetic. Now notice, if you're not familiar with the chakra system, it would be the first and second chakra, or your lower coccyx area where we root, and your hip reproductive area. And just all the way from there down to your legs, just notice what that feels like. Use your breath as you're noticing. And be with any of the sensations and just allow them. So this is a very simple way to get present with yourself. And you can check in several times a day. You know, where am I in my body? Can I feel me?
So I wonder what happens for people who don't resonate with this, who are, because I know people who are like, who can't do this, who feel so much fear and stress when they do that exercise that they just have to stop and come out of it. And so I also remember for me in the past, years ago, that was very difficult to just be with the sensations and therefore be in the here and now. And so one of the things that I know can help is to tell yourself to trust what you feel, to just trust it. Whatever it is, you don't have to fix it, you don't have to change it, you don't even have to understand it right now. Not in this very minute. Because the idea is to just relax into the body as much as you can. So I find that a really great reminder. Trust whatever it is that you feel. Trust the fear that you feel. Trust whatever difficult feeling it is. Just trust that it's doing what it needs to be doing, and you don't have to. It's okay to just witness it, feel it, allow it, let it, flow through you, and perhaps leave as well.
Yeah, I
So
was just going to add that, for me, sometimes when I get that way and I'm having a hard time calming and being present, going outside and touching the earth, gardening is something that can really, calm me and kind of gives me that uplift that sometimes I can't get sitting inside in a chair type thing. So also in the past, walking, hiking. So there's different things that can help.
Absolutely. So what you touched
Finding the one for you, can be powerful.
What you touched on, Debbie, was grounding. Besides this kind of grounding, nature grounding.
right. And I think that's a good point as well for people to know. So to ground, you can do that by directing your consciousness, your own awareness inside and making yourself ground. And yeah, sometimes that's hard. So you go outside and you allow things on the outside to help with that grounding. And yeah, nature is just
yeah,
awesome.
like hugging a tree is really, my backyard tree, I give him a hug and it's like whoop. I'm like right back in my roots. So I also have a grounding bar that I had installed, and so it's kind of looks like a towel rack, and it's grounded into the earth outside, and I just hold it and I go whoop with that too. So that, is like instantaneous. You can feel it pull I feel pulled within.
Right. And it's about feeling, isn't it? You got to feel it, and you got to find whatever it is for you that works really well to help you ground. And so I'm curious, we have 12 people looking now, watching us. Was this helpful? What did this bring up for you, this exercise? Did you do it with us? Do you have your own ways to ground? Or do you have questions, specific difficulties around this? I'd be curious. And so Octavian said from Romania. We have Romania watching us.
Oh, how fun.
Yeah.
Hi,
While we wait for
Romania.
people to respond, I'll just say hi to Eric, who was able to find us. We're glad that you're here.
Yeah, hi, Eric.
Hi, Eric. I can also see that Sonia is watching. Hi, Sonia. I'm so glad you're watching. Somebody send us a heart.
Oh.
So tell us about grounding. What does that mean to you? Is it difficult? Is it straightforward? Because this is how to get out of the,
The trauma.
yeah, the constant stimulations from outside, from the media, from all sorts of sources who are reporting like crazy about what's going on in the world. And so it's very important to protect yourself from all that information. I'm not seeing any new comments, so
we were talking before about feelings you had brought up, okay? And I think it's really important because you mentioned that, you know, people have a hard time being with their feelings and their emotions. And, you know, some ways that we've practiced to just witness the feelings and allow them to be, because as I think you mentioned earlier, they're navigational systems. People love to label them. Oh, good emotion, bad emotion, you know, negative, positive. And in truth, for me, because of the non-dualism spirituality that I love so much, I don't see them as positive or negative. I just see them as an experience that I'm having that is just calling me to look within myself. And, you know, every one of the feelings, if you get stuck, it's going to be, it's going to kind of take us away from the fluidity of who we are. Because the beauty of being human is we have emotions. And if we really know how to work with them, they can guide us into inner worlds and spiritual groundedness different than you may be aware of.
right. I remember when I learned about feelings, what they really are, because I lived my life like, let's say 35 years. I had no idea what feelings were. Nobody really explained that in school or even in, you know, in more advanced learning. I thought the information I found around feelings was very vague. And so now I know feelings are the way we experience our reality as a human. No feelings, no experience. I mean, so it's not who we are. It's not, it's truly just the only way to know what am I experiencing here. And some feelings are information about what's going on outside, and some feelings are what's going on inside, or a mixture. And it's good information. The thing is, when we have the emotional resilience to allow the feelings and to feel them and to process them through, then it's really an experience of, you know, being gifted with this marvelous experience, because feelings give you information about, you know, what about your needs. If you don't know your feelings, you don't know your needs. Right, Judy?
Yeah, like you can take it somatically, physically, you can take it emotionally, mentally. You know, if your stomach growls and you feel an empty feeling in there, you might be hungry. You know, it's telling you, feed me. If you're feeling angry about what someone said, maybe there's a reflective piece in there of what's that's bringing up for you. I mean, it certainly happens to me. I've been kind of doing this work for over 30 years of connecting back into myself. What am I feeling? What are my needs? Because honestly, when I grew up, my needs were never allowed. And if I had needs, I was called selfish. I was the oldest of 3 kids from an extremely dysfunctional household. And so I learned to have to fight for my needs. So I was labeled my feeling. I was told, you are angry. You are an angry child. You are an angry person. And I grew up, you know, attempting to fight that, because that wasn't who I was. It became an identity piece. And that's not who I am. That was my experience that they projected on me because they couldn't hear my needs.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. And I can imagine that anger is one of the feelings that would come up in these times for people. So it's very important to learn that it's okay to feel it and to find constructive ways to process through that, not to repress it, not to make it wrong.
Right, because when it actually represses, it gets trapped in the cells of the body and the nervous system. And that's when if it keeps building up over the years. Is somebody looking? Because I can't see.
I was just seeing 13 people are watching. I was like,
Oh, that's my lucky number. That's my birthday. When it gets trapped in the nervous system and it builds up like that over the years, that's when we get sick. That's when our immunities go down. That's when we get chronic conditions. That's when we can't digest our food or we have allergies. So these build up. And in these days, the more research I do, the level of trauma education is amazing. People are really coming forth with things that work. And so that's what we've been sharing with you. And we're also going to share with you from the aspect of theta healing. So for those of you who don't know theta healing, Leila, you want to say something about it?
there's 14 people watching now.
Oh, okay. I've got my counter over here.
Get distracted. What were you asking?
I was asking if you want to just explain for those who don't know what theta healing is, just a brief thing.
Okay, so what's relevant in healing from trauma regarding theta healing is that it supports to actually shift the beliefs that you may end up believing because of an experience, a traumatic experience. And in levels that are just so profound and in ways that are also so loving, like it's from a non-dualistic point of view, like the experience is never made wrong. And it just brings you back to your personal connection with, what we would call creator or God, or, and we're not talking about a being, okay? We're not talking about a creature, not a religious divinity or anything, but that unconditional love, that consciousness that runs through everything, that, that energy that quantum physics has identified as, we don't know what it does because it doesn't answer to the natural laws of physics that we know, that consciousness that's in there that feels like unconditional love. And it's a really, yeah, it's quite beautiful to work with.
And so that non-dualism of it is that we're all an aspect of it. It runs through everything. There is nothing that energy is separate from. But we have thousands of beliefs that were separate from it. So many coming in from our childhood, especially if you're traumatized. It's one of the biggest clearings to feel and reestablish the knowing that we're already connected. And so if unconditional love runs through everything, that means even the structures that may be, beneficial or not beneficial to us still has God sparks as part of it.
Yeah. And that's why there's always hope.
Always hope. And so what we'd like to do, actually it's a great centering too, is we're just going to take everybody up to that energy. If you've been there before and want to just hang out there with us, that's great. But I'm going to just kind of lead everybody up there, and just so that you have that experience as you felt into your body, you're going to feel this too. And you're going to feel it somatically as well, possibly. If not, just remember your breath is here. Notice your breath. So
one thing to talk about it, but what does it is to actually experience it, right?
yeah,
And
yeah.
so before we do that, shall we just read the comments real quick
Oh, please, please.
that came in before?
Yeah, yes, please.
You want to do that, Debbie, or shall I?
I can do that. We had Brenda, when we were doing the meditation afterwards, she said it was very grounding for her. And Tamara said to help ground, she'll go outside barefoot, and that helps her. And then watching the body's energy go into the earth and bring it back up through her feet into her body. Marianne says doing some meditations, earthing mats, and going outside. She finds them helpful and does regularly.
Good.
And then Eric commented about sharing about being labeled angry, and he really resonated with that. And he said he's lived many decades believing that about himself, and only realized recently that he discovered it was a lie serving his parents. So
wow.
Yeah.
Awesome, Eric. Awesome. That is such a big piece. Thanks for all your comments, and please keep putting them there, because your suggestions help other people, and everybody has their way of experiencing themselves in their bodies. We're giving you some, you can play with them because it's kind of like a toolkit, and pull them out and see what feels like to do this or this. So I'm going to also, now that we kind of know how to be in our body a little more, I'm going to take us into the theta healing meditation for those who don't know about it, so that they can have their experience. And for the rest of us, we can just enjoy that unconditional love that we're a part of, and just remembering it again. So allow yourselves just again to notice your breath. And allow your imagination to be available, curious, in wonder, as you imagine this beautiful, beautiful grounding energy coming up through your feet. And it moves up easily through each of the centers of your body, also called chakras. Imagine it goes up easily and quickly through your crown and forms a beautiful ball of light. You're in it or of it, and make it big. Imagine it goes past the moon very quickly and past the sun and through all the stars faster than the speed of light, swishing through. Allow yourself to imagine different striations of light and dark. Continue into a beautiful golden energy. Perhaps some of you recognize this. You're not staying there. Continue through into a thick, jello-y energy. You may see shapes or colors, even tones, but you're not staying there. You're continuing. Perhaps you see a pink light, and if you do, you can follow that. If not, continue on. And there's a large opening, and enter in to a white, tingly light. It's just beautiful. Every one of your cells is connected to this. And this energy of unconditional love, of pure truth. It just is part of you. Feel it go through that ball of light. And now imagine it coming through your physical form. From your head to your toes. You're always connected to this energy. We sometimes forget, but this is our remembrance. We are loved and we are protected in this energy. This is not a bubble. This just is. Continue breathing. And open your eyes.
Thank you so much, Judy.
Yeah.
We still have 12 people here. What was that like for you guys? Have you had the data meditation before? Was this the first time? Let us know. So we could take this also to the topic of structure, because this meditation is a certain structure, or has a structure. The
Yeah.
idea to connect to your source first, and then.
Yeah. Go about and do the rest of the spiritual work from there.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So that's, as many of you know, how we do the belief work too. And using that meditation to change beliefs. And so I guess for myself, I go in if I feel a fear or I feel a particular emotion that's getting stuck in my system. And I look at it and go, okay, what's this about for me? So I go in with curiosity and openness in connection to this energy and start exploring. Now, I don't work with the inner child work as much anymore because I feel pretty integrated in who I am. But I use that inner child work, for years. And that child gets frozen, or has been frozen when we get triggers often. And it's separate from us. And so we want to learn how to be loving adults, especially if you have children, how you really want to be there for your kids. It's the same for within yourself, because we forget ourselves. We forget to be kind to ourselves. We forget that those parts that, may be critical are not really our voice, but voices we've taken in. And we learn to use discernment and gentleness and kindness and lovingness to those aspects of ourselves. Those are virtues, and they're also such an integral part of our daily practice. Do you want to add anything to that, Leila?
Well, I was thinking, what does that have to do with structure?
Well, the inner child work is a structure. It's a means to connect to ourselves as a structure.
But in relation to what's happening in the world now and the structures that were in place are crumbling, some of them.
Yep.
So how does this work in how it's structured, how would that help with the structures crumbling and now having to create new structures?
Okay, so as those outer world structures are coming down, I kind of see them like a building, you know, and then there's a foundation, and these old structures are coming apart. If any of you have Legos, you probably can relate to this. And the Legos have to have a base. They're not floating in the air. And so you had to build it. So in the world, for eons, there's been structures that have been put into place. These structures aren't working anymore. Just like as a child, structures were put into us by the thoughts and beliefs and opinions of others. We were little sponges as kids. We took in that oftentimes is the truth, when it wasn't the truth at all. It was just opinion. Or the adults' dysregulation. And so as this world is destructuring, we can kind of track it within our own bodies of what places within ourselves need to have some structural change, need to look at where we took in those opinions as our truth about life and ourselves. And it's a real process, and we can do it on a daily basis. You know, evaluate that for ourselves. And using the triggers as an opportunity to look at how you can destructure. So when we do belief work, we are actually going down a rabbit hole, destructuring. And then when we get near the bottom, we have to build the person up. We give them what's called creator's teachings that builds that structural, that new structure that they want through the virtues. So we have similar within ourselves. Anyway, that's the way I did it in my healing, is I watched myself destructure. And, you know, that's not an easy process, but it was also took my trust in all that is, that I'm here for a purpose, and I have meaning and significance in me doing this work. And that's what kept me going for years. Because, you know, as many of you know, my issues have to do with sex trafficking. That's not an easy topic. So I had to really get down those rabbit holes and clear stuff to a point where sometimes I thought, who am I? You know, and then I had to remember, I'm a spark of God too. I'm here because I agreed to be here at this time. That helped me so much, honestly.
Thank you for the share, Judy.
Huh?
Thank you so much for that vulnerable share.
Thanks.
Yeah. I thought of an example of structures just to make it even clearer for people to understand what we're talking about, the structures. So for example, one of the things I heard here in my neighborhood, somebody was expressing some fear and saying that they really hoped that the government would help her because the financial impacts of what's going on in the world was brutal for her. And I could sense how it would be so much more empowering to trust in Creator to bring, you know, whatever it is that you need to fulfill your needs, rather than to put that on authorities out that are literally outside of ourselves.
Yeah.
Right? This is what we mean by the structures and perhaps changing the structures. And once you change that within, once you really know from within that it's not the government that's going to rescue you, even though perhaps there could be, some movements or some experience that's helpful, but ultimately you're manifesting this through Creator and you're trusting that source. Your source is bringing you, what you need, so that there is no dependency on, a structure outside of you that creates, whatever it creates.
Yeah. So I really love the way you put that together too, because it's showing us that we're sourcing out here rather than keeping the structure aligned within ourselves. And that doesn't mean that we're an island and we have to operate by ourselves. It just means that the discernment of where to connect, where to get our support becomes more refined by connecting inside ourselves into a structure that is aligned with that creative source energy.
So this is Debbie. I just wanted to do a time check. So we've been going for about 50 minutes now. And so I don't know if there's any other topics that you guys want to talk about or downloads. And then also we did have a couple more comments after your meditation taking us up to Creator Judy saying, thank you. It feels so peaceful and very beautiful. And that was from Rebecca.
Oh, great. Thanks, Rebecca. Yeah, there are a couple just things that you can play with in your toolkit. One of the things that Dan Spiegel talks about, who is a doctor who works with trauma, is some holds on your body. You know, if you're living alone, you're not going to get much connection right now, except for the computer. So connecting with your body in different ways can be very beneficial. Having been a Jinshin Jitsu practitioner for over 40 years, I do different touch points on my body that keep my energy flowing. So one of the things I noticed he does too, but he doesn't call it Jinshin, but I recognized it. So if you want to play with this, what he suggests to help also to regulate the vagus nerve, which I mentioned before is so important, is you can take, and this is can be juxtapositioned. You can take your right hand and put it under your left armpit so that your thumb and your other fingers are behind. And then you take your thumb and your index finger and wrap it around the other arm and drop your shoulders. And just notice your breath. This actually opens up your breath in Jinshin. And if you move your fingers just to the outside and then grab it, you're opening up your digestion too.
So how long would you suggest people to try this out?
This is to calm the vagus nerve until they start to feel calm. For me, I do a lot of other things along with it, but I think using the breath with it, and this is what I want to add to it. A vagus nerve breathing as you're holding this is to do a very slow exhale and then a quicker inhale. Again, an exhale slow. And an inhale faster. We're learning to orient to the present and calm our nervous system.
And so you'll notice that while you do that and you bring your focus to, your body and your breath, your thoughts start to slow down or go away. Or, if there is a ruminating or this frantic, a lot of thoughts going, a lot of mental activity, the idea is for that to just
calm. Don't let it get trapped in the nervous system.
Right. And to trust that that is okay, because that mental activity is trying to, solve something. It's, it's just like, it's not wrong. It's just not helpful at, in that particular moment. So to trust that that's a big part of that process.
And of course, exercise, because exercise releases serotonin. And that's really important. I'm sorry, endorphins. going to all that is actually releases serotonin. So this can actually help to lower our sugar craves. I don't drink caffeine, but I know people do. This helps to bring that down as well. And there's lots of good herbs also that help to bring down that sugar, sugar craving. Sugar hooks into the receptor sites of cocaine. So it's very addictive. When we want to be in our body, to be less addictive, so we can stay present and move things forward. For those of you who like to turn music on and move your bodies, shake your booty, go for it. I just cleared out space in my healing room so I can dance. And so that really kicks in, lots and lots of those endorphins as well. And
The idea,
Hmm?
if I may just add, and the idea again is to get out of your head. And so by dancing, you start to just feel the sensations, how does your body want to move? And you're no longer thinking, you're just being with the movement, the sensations, the breath. And that is the objective. That is why you'd be doing that.
Yep. Alkaline your body, drink a lot of water. Put lemon in it to help you. For those of you who are theta healers and taking DNA 3, you can align your master molecule if you've forgotten. It's really great exercise. And I have, and take breaks, even if you have to time them. If you're sitting at the computer a lot, get up, move, breathe. Remember, you're in your body. So I have some downloads for people, and all you have to say to yourself is yes if you want to receive them. And what they are concepts that we don't have in our body or our psyche, and just to help to support you to feel more stable. And I kind of took them from what we've been talking about. And again, you don't have to write yes down if you don't want to. Was there something you wanted to say, Leila?
Yeah, so before we go to the downloads, just to conclude that previous part, because you listed a whole bunch of, things that can be really helpful to help you ground. And so the invitation would be, make a list of your own. Make your own list of what to do, what works well for you specifically that helps you ground. Because it's really not the same thing for everyone. It's not the same thing all the time either. Sometimes this will work, sometimes that will work. But this is like brilliant self-care. Make yourself a list of things that help you ground, soothe, and ultimately feel better, calm your nervous system. And so the list that you gave, Judy, can be so helpful with that. And in fact, we have a comment from Rebecca who says, "Well, Judy, thank you. That Jin Shin is amazing. Thank you."
Oh,
So she
good.
felt it.
Okay.
And I'll just add this, to open your box when your mind when doing this. So I recently moved from California to Arizona, and I did a lot of hiking, and that was really grounding for me. And I was struggling with finding what I could replace that with, and then just put out what should I be doing out to creator, and ended up getting involved in boxing of all things at my age. And Leila and Judy have heard this, and this jab punch type stuff has been, I'm like kind of shocked at how grounding and the stuff that Leila said. And I would have never thought, if you would have asked me even a year from now if I would really be enjoying doing some boxing. I was a year out of your mind. And yet it's been really, helpful, maybe on the opposite end of things from dance, where it's just those short, movements are really, grounding and releasing, I would say.
Yeah. Thanks for adding that.
Go, Debbie. I love it. Thanks, Rebecca, for playing along.
Yeah.
And she also says, I miss hugging. Thank goodness I have cats. Yes. Pets are awesome. And really understand about the hugging.
Yep. So daily hugging ourselves may not, kind of fulfill it for connecting with others, but at least it reminds us that we have connection. Is this a good time?
For the downloads,
Yeah.
will I read them? Or would you prefer to read them yourself?
Yeah, I can go ahead. That'd be great. And then I'll just, you know, all of you can just say yes to yourselves and receive them, or you don't have to receive them. It's always in choice.
Okay, so I'll be reading the downloads that Judy came up with, and Judy will witness the downloads come to you if you give permission. Yes? So, would you like to know what it feels like, how to, when to, the possibility of, safety of, importance, that you're worthy, deserving, good enough on a daily basis, that you can, do, and are stable in any situation, and remembering your connection with Source in any situation? And Judy, just tell me when you're ready for the next ones.
Okay.
Remembering the significance of your presence during transitions, and that you can stay present in the present.
Okay.
That you can remember rather than relive old difficult situations, and to see the God spark in any aspect of creation.
Okay.
To recognize your own God spark and to be impervious to detrimental radiation.
Okay.
That your body knows how to easily eliminate detrimental radiation, and to think clearly and use aligned discernment in making decisions.
Okay.
To give nurturing and nourishing attention to your body without it needing to be depleted first. To know the difference between others' opinions and the deepest truth within, aligned with all it is.
Okay.
To accept another to accept another where they are without making them wrong or bad, to witness the decline of old hierarchical structures without feeling depleted or fearful.
Okay.
To participate in changing structures to benefit the highest support for humanity, and to envision how we want to see the world in the highest and best way.
Okay. All right.
What did that feel like? Let us know.
Yeah, let us know.
We have 11 people who are still watching. Would you like us to do this again, a Facebook Live? Let us know. Was this supportive? Was this fun?
And I'll just add for all those that are watching on replay that we're not able to make it live, also feel free to put your comments out there and to give feedback on your experience with it, and if you'd like to see more of it in topics and content or topics.
I'm so glad you remembered to say that.
To what? Oh, Debbie?
For the replay, yeah, awesome. Rebecca says, thanks, yes please, very supportive, love to you ladies. Oh, Rebecca, thank you. Love to you too.
Yeah, just
Diane,
means in a time where there's so much disconnection from everything in our normal, to have a spot to connect with each other in the space was pretty powerful for me as well.
hmm,
Me too.
cool. Diana says, thank you, beautiful and appropriate downloads for me. Yes.
Okay.
Great. Thank you, Diana. And Eric says, yes, to doing it again. Thank you. Yay.
So I just want to remind everyone that we're the Moving Beyond Trauma project team. And being a nonprofit, if you want to help support, our mission, we have a donation page. Otherwise, we give from our hearts. And
Judy, I'd also add volunteers. We had recently asked if, monetary is great, but also time. There are certain areas where we look for help and support within the project as well. And I think that we've got information to volunteer out on our webpage as well, correct?
yeah.
I'm reading more comments. So Marianne says, thank you all, deeply sensitive. Oh.
Mm.
Tamara says, thank you. I caught bits and pieces live. I will watch replay in its entirety. Thank you. Would love more of these videos in the future. It was very helpful.
Thanks.
And then Diana says, oh, yeah, spell check. Got that, the download. So yes, people, the Moving Beyond Trauma Project.org is our website. We have a lot of free resources there, the donations page, and looking for volunteers. Just wanted to repeat that real quick so people really know where to go to. So www.themovingbeyondtraumaproject.org, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So thank you, everyone. And I hope you use all the tips. And we love you and we care about you. And we want to build community with you. So thanks for, chatting with us and connecting with us.
Yes, thank you so much for interacting with us.
Yeah.
So appreciate it.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.